Hey everyone, Kerry here. I'm really excited to share the stories today of two of my new friends, Eleanor and Christina. Eleanor was diagnosed with Chung-Jansen Syndrome. It's one of only a few people in the world to actually have been diagnosed with this. Stay tuned.
Oh, yeah, you say hi.
Hi, Eleanor. How are you?
Hi.
Eleanor.
Hey.
Hi.
Elmo. Yeah.
Eleanor, you might be the cutest girl on the planet. Did you
Say
hear?
thank you.
Did you hear about that? Did you hear it? It was in the news today. I think it was in the New York Times. I think there was an article about it. Page one, page
Her
two.
dad tells her a lot. Oh, Elmo tells you that too? Yeah. Elmo. Yeah.
Emma says you're cute. Awesome.
She is G-tube dependent, which means she gets all of her nutrition through that. I feel like a lot of people, even the older generation, are kind of naive to it because, prior to her even getting one or before we even knew about any of her issues, I see a kid with a feeding tube and you just think like, oh, well, just if the kid's hungry enough, he'll eat. Well, no, that's not the case. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, I got comments when she actually, like a year ago, she still wasn't tolerating tummy time and wasn't rolling. And we got comments like, oh, you just got to leave her on her belly. She'll eventually figure it out. Like, we need more positivity. Like, oh, if you think something's going on, like, definitely go with that. Like, no, like, not the wait and see, or have you tried this? Because it's definitely not helpful, especially somebody who's not part of the special needs community, to ask if you've tried this. And Chung-Jansen Syndrome, it's kind of like a wide spectrum. So there's a couple symptoms that are involved, and doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to have all of them. But she would be more at risk for obesity after she hits puberty. She's more at risk for seizures. That's something we just have to monitor. And then it also comes with hypotonia, which is low muscle tone, which is what Eleanor has, and developmental delays, and intellectual disabilities, and autism-like features. And then it also comes with potential behavioral issues. Is that baby shark? Yeah, you're trying to do it. And Viv doesn't like baby shark. It's my oldest. Aside from that, she pretty much loves anything that Viv does.
I feel like she's going to be a movie star. She's just like, while you were talking just then, she's like literally like almost blowing kisses to the camera. I mean, she's like born for this.
Yeah. Well, and she has these Zoom meetings with all of her, like, she gets all of her therapy through the Zoom meeting. So she's just so used to it. When I open the laptop, she always waves hi, like she wants to talk to somebody. So she's just, it's like no big deal to her now, huh?
Do you know any other families? Obviously, this is a very rare diagnosis. Do you know any other families who are impacted by this diagnosis?
I just joined a Facebook group for it, and there's only like 92 members or so. So I've been trying to reach out to a couple, just kind of try to get a feel, like what their life has been like, or their child's life has been like. And it's just, comforting to know that somebody else has the same thing that your child has. That's incredibly rare. If you feel like something, I don't want to say like if you feel like something's wrong with your child, but if you feel like something is off, I would always go with your gut instinct. I've had a couple people, even some of my friends, just, tell me when this all started in the beginning, like, oh, I'm sure she'll be fine. You just give it time. Like, it's no big deal. My kid didn't even My kid never crawled. My kid walked at like 18 months. She'll be fine. And if I didn't do all of that, I don't even know where she would be developmentally today. I mean, she's being followed by a neurologist and, you know, genetics, and she gets physical therapy and occupational therapy and GI and feeding therapy. And I don't even know where she would be if we didn't get any of these done.
And I was reading more about the whole autism aspect of it and how that ends up being one of the diagnoses is I was diagnosed with autism when I was 4. And that's kind of how I started my platform in talking about disability advocacy from my own initial diagnosis. Do you see a lot of autism characteristics in Eleanor so far?
So it's kind of ironic because prior to her even getting a diagnosis, I told my husband that I would not be surprised. What are you doing? Are you bouncing? I would not.
Do. Eleanor, you do it all. You're going to get an EGOT, which is an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony, because you were doing a little singing earlier. Now you're doing a little dancing, so you're great for Broadway. Right.
She's showing off because she's now able to like get herself in a 4-point position. So this is like a very big deal for her.
Oh.
But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh, it's easy to get distracted. Oh yeah. So before we got her diagnosis, I was telling my husband that I wouldn't be surprised if she had even like a mild form of autism. She definitely has sensory processing disorder. And then paired with, you know, the feeding difficulties and also the hypotonia, like late to hit milestones. I told him I really would not be too surprised. And, you know, her pediatrician said like, well, you know, she's very social. She makes great eye contact, blah, blah, blah. So then when we got her diagnosis and that was like on the symptom list, I was like, okay, now I know I'm not crazy. Like,
I love the shirt you're wearing, by the way. Advocate like a mother.
Oh yeah.
And, I was going to ask what Eleanor's shirt says, because it looks like she has a message too.
Yeah, hers says tiny badass on it.
Hey, Eleanor, are you a tiny badass?
Oh, I am? Yeah.
Your mom's okay.
You know. Oh, that's the other message, for sure. On my Instagram page, I talk a lot about mental health. How important it is, at least for me, to be open about the struggles of parenting, let alone parenting a special needs child. So that's my other piece of advice is if you're struggling, definitely get help, whether that be therapy, medication, making time for yourself, finding a support group, any of that, because it makes a huge difference knowing that you are not alone in all of this. Because I mean, living is overwhelming right now anyways, and then, you know, add all these other issues, it can be a lot.
Yeah.
So that's my other biggest piece of advice is taking care of your mental health, because you can't function correctly if you're a hot mess.
Yeah, well, that's simply one of the big things I've been talking about, just even in our language, because right now there's been such an emphasis on social distancing, but I've been trying to push towards physical distancing, because along with being an autism advocate, mental health has always been something I've had a challenge with, especially when I didn't communicate as a kid. So it's definitely something I hope we can definitely have a larger conversation about.
My goal is to maybe hopefully get her walking by the time she's 3. But she's just on her own timeline. Like, it doesn't matter how bad I would want her to do something. She's just like, no, I think I'm going to wait a little bit and figure it out, and then I'll just do it. So probably pull to stands. The feeding aspect is just a whole other separate category. Like I said, she has a G tube, so it's not as important right now if she didn't have all of these other delays.
Bye,
Me too.
Eleanor.
Thank you so much. You say bye?
Bye, Eleanor.
Oh.
Mwah. Hey everyone, Kerry Magro here from A Special Community. I can't thank you enough for watching this video, and if you like this video, please click on some more videos around our YouTube page. We are just trying to give a voice to countless people in our neurodiverse community, so please, if you can, subscribe to our video page, and then you'll also get to see a little bit more about my story from nonverbal autism to today being a professional speaker. Thanks so much, y'all.